The camera opens with a panoramic view of a busy city street. Crowds hustle, the sounds of chatter and cars fill the air. Amidst the usual chaos, one man stands apart, Ethan. He's dressed in a crisp, dark uniform, his posture rigid, his eyes scanning the scene, always alert. On any other day, the streets of the city buzzed with the usual noise, people walking, shopping, lost in their lives. But not Ethan. For him, nothing was ever ordinary. Being a royal guard meant always being one step ahead, always watching, because sometimes you're not just protecting a palace, you're protecting everything that comes with it. Ethan's gaze sharpens as a figure stumbles into view. A thug, with a dirty jacket and an attitude to match, mutters to himself as he bumps into people, ignoring the soft murmurs of those around him. He's headed straight for the palace. Flashback to the day before. Ethan is reviewing documents in a small office inside the palace. The door creaks open and a senior officer enters with a concerned expression. "Ethan, we've got a problem. There's been chatter criminal groups making a move. One of them might be targeting the palace." Ethan listens carefully as the officer continues. "We don't know who yet, but we've got intel that suggests someone will try something big soon. You've got to be ready." Ethan steps out from his post, watching the crowds from a distance, every instinct telling him something's off. That's when he sees the thug again, this time closer, heading toward the palace gates. He didn't know it yet, but the thug had just crossed the line into a world he didn't understand. And Ethan was the last thing he wanted to mess with. The thug grins, eyes locked on the palace. He's already planning something. He's been hired to take down a high-profile target, but he doesn't know he's about to run into the wrong person. The thug steps up to the gates, trying to slip past security with ease. He smirks, thinking it'll be a breeze, but Ethan's eyes are locked onto him, every movement calculated. "Nice day for a walk, isn't it?" The guard shrugs, but Ethan steps forward, his voice calm but commanding. "You're not going anywhere." The thug looks up, eyes narrowing. He sees the uniform and sneers. "Really? And what are you going to do about it, tough guy? Think I'm scared of a royal guard?" Without warning, the thug lunges toward Ethan, trying to shove him aside. But Ethan is too quick. In a blur, he grabs the thug by the wrist and twists, flipping him to the ground effortlessly. The thug grunts in pain as he struggles. "You should have thought twice before making this mistake." The thug, enraged and embarrassed, scrambles to his feet and pulls out a knife from his jacket, slashing toward Ethan. The camera follows the quick, fluid movements as Ethan dodges and counters with lightning speed, disarming the thug with a single strike. He wasn't just some soldier. Ethan had trained for this his whole life. Every move, every strike, designed for one thing, to keep people safe no matter what. And this thug, he wasn't even close. The thug stumbles backward, clutching his bleeding hand where the knife was knocked away. He's gasping for breath, realizing he's in way over his head. Who are you? What are you? You messed with the wrong guard." Inside the palace, the royal staff and high-ranking officers monitor security cameras. One of the officers spots the altercation on the feed and signals for backup. "All units, we've got a situation at the east gate. Move in, now." The thug, now desperate, reaches for his phone. His hands shake as he dials a number. "I need backup, now." His voice is strained with panic, but before he can say more, Ethan steps forward, grabbing the thug's phone and crushing it in his hand. "Your help won't get here in time." The thug stares at Ethan, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and disbelief. His plan is falling apart. Ethan steps back, surveying the thug as he attempts to stand up, shaking with frustration. "You're going to walk away now. I suggest you leave before I make you regret this decision even more." The thug hesitates, looking around as if expecting an escape. But all he sees is the cold, calculating eyes of Ethan watching him. Realizing he's completely outmatched, the thug nods, slowly backing away. The thug finally turns to run, but as he moves, he hears the unmistakable sound of sirens in the distance. Police are closing in. Ethan watches, a hint of a smile playing at the edge of his lips. The thug knows this is the end. And in that moment, the thug realized the depth of his mistake. He'd never been in a fight like this before. He'd never faced someone who was prepared for everything. Someone who lived in the shadows of the palace, protecting it with a devotion that could only come from a true royal guard. The thug is handcuffed by the palace security team, his arrogance now replaced with fear and regret. As they lead him away, he casts one last